Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you're new here, hi, my name's Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. And before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version onto YouTube on Fridays as well. So make sure you are subscribed. And with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week so far. And if you haven't, guess what? It's Friday. It's the weekend. You did it. Happy Friday, you guys. I have had a great week thus far. It is only Tuesday when I'm filming this, but I am manifesting a great week thus far. It's been a pretty good week. I can't complain. It has been not fall weather here, but we can now officially say that we're in fall because if you guys did not know, September 22nd is the first official day of fall, and we are several days past September 22nd. So whether you like to wait for the actual day, like on the calendar, or whether you start celebrating fall in like July or whether you wait till October. I know people are all over the map when it comes to this. I do think that it's like actually like people have very differing opinions on this and they have very strong opinions. I know Jackson, my brother, called me yesterday. And we were talking about fall and he said that he was gearing up for fall. He's going to make his girlfriend a boo basket, the whole thing. And he was like, have you started preparing? He's like, are you lighting fall candles? And I was like, Jackson, do you know me? I started in the first week of August. Like, please don't even come at me like that. And he was like, Savannah, it is fall in October. Like, you can't be doing that. You cannot you can't get right into fall. Like, you have to wait. Like, fall doesn't officially start till October, which first of all, fall starts September 22nd. Thank you very much. But I told him, I was like, if I want to light a little pumpkin spice candle, if I want my house to smell like leaves and the fall time and a bonfire, and if I want to decorate a freaking pumpkin in August, I'm going to do it because who am I hurting? Tell me, who am I hurting? Exactly. I love fall and no one's going to take that away from me. I do know that, again, people have such strong opinions when it comes to this. I follow this girl on Instagram and she genuinely, like, I don't know if she's serious, but she seems to get very upset that around this time people start talking about like Christmas and people are talking about the holidays. Like she's very like headstrong in her beliefs that, you know, you need to stay in the present and really like take each season as it is and not jump to the next, which there is something very beautiful about that. But what can I say? I'm a fall girl through and through. I'm also a winter girl through and through. Spring and summer just aren't for me, but fall and winter, it's when I shine. Anyways, that's not why we're here today. I do want to address the elephant in the room. If you're watching me on YouTube, I feel like I'm just bypassing this. If you're watching me on YouTube and you're like, Savannah, where the heck are you? This is not your usual spot. You are correct. I am at my parents' house right now, and my parents have a house in Tennessee, and I came here today just to kind of get some work done, and a little change of scenery is always nice. When you work from home, I find that sometimes when you're just working from home day in and day out, it can get a little bit repetitive and kind of all blend together. And I do find sometimes, at least for me, when I change scenery and when I put myself in a different space, I like get a new, what's it called? Like I just get a new urge of motivation and I just am able to focus better because I'm not, you know, surrounded by my couch and my bed and, you know, all the things that I'm looking at the house instead of like looking at my actual work. I'm looking at all the things that need to get done around the house instead of being like, okay, no, I need to dedicate like X amount of time to this or whatever. But I came out here today to get a little bit of change of scenery, and I decided why not film today's episode while I'm out here also, because I do think that it is pretty aesthetically pleasing, if I do say so myself. And I was like, why not just film out here? So if you're watching me on YouTube and you're like, where the heck are you? That's where I am. Just putting it out there. But have no fear. Next week, we will be back in the big comfy chair. We will be back in my little office, in my cozy office. I actually really do like that whole setup too, but this is very nice. You can let me know which do you prefer. And if you prefer this, I can come out here more often and film these episodes out here if you find it more visually pleasing. But anyways, as you can tell by the title of today's episode, you guys, we are talking about something that I am very excited about because I don't think that we have ever really dedicated a full episode to this topic. And when I was writing my outline for today's episode and I was writing down all the points that I wanted to hit, I really realized that this was the episode that I wish that I had a couple years ago. This is the episode that I wish that I would have listened to at different points in my life when I was navigating relationships and heartbreak and dating and really all facets of life. I think that this episode can apply to all facets and all different areas of life. But today we're really going to be focusing on relationships. And part of the reason I wanted to talk about this today with you guys is because I have seen so many questions in the What Would Sav Do's about you guys talking about your relationships and the adversities that you're facing and the challenges that you face in your relationships, because you say that, your partner treated you so poorly and you still love them and XYZ, and you don't know what to do. And how do you get over it? And what do you do? How do you move forward? How do you get them back? How do you get them to like you? All of the things, right? Everything under the umbrella. And I think that it's really, really important to remember, and something that gets lost in translation a lot of the times, and this is why I wanted to talk about this today, is that you are in control. You have power, and it's you that are also choosing them too. And again, this pertains to everything in life, but specifically today, we're going to be talking about relationships, because I think so often we get so caught up, especially in dating, about making sure that the other person likes us, making sure that, we feel validated, and making sure that, oh, I want them to really like me. I want to feel that validation. I want to feel that reassurance. I want to make sure that they like me. So I'm going to go out of my way and I'm going to, put them on a pedestal, and I'm going to wear the rose-colored glasses. I think it's really important to remember, and I think that's something we don't remind ourselves enough, is that we are choosing them too. And I'm going to get into all of that. But to preface, I kind of want to give you a little background on why I feel like I am qualified to talk about this. I have an extremely anxious attachment style. I think that I've talked about that many, many times. I have a very anxious avoidant attachment style. And what I mean by that, which if you don't know, I really recommend you look into the different types of attachment styles that are out there and figuring out what yours is, because I didn't learn about attachment styles until about 2 years ago. And I was already, all the way in a relationship by then. And it didn't matter at that point, is what I'm trying to get at. Well, it always matters, but I couldn't apply it to my dating life, is what I'm saying, in the current moment. But to preface, I am an anxious avoidant. And again, what I mean by that is that I will lose my mind spiraling over something or someone that I am talking to or that I'm dating. But at the same time, I will be very distant. I will be very avoidant, and I will make you think that you are the last thing on my mind, when quite literally you are what's taking up all of the space. And as we know, I've said this many, many times, I am an overthinker, I'm an overanalyzer, and really at those times in my life when I was navigating dating, those feelings of being an anxious avoidant, having those anxious attachment styles, that's when it was at its peak. So because of this attachment style, many, many times in my life, I have found myself in a position where if something went wrong, or if something felt off, or if I felt like someone was distancing when really they weren't, and I was just over analyzing, I would go into a fight or flight mode. And it's within this fight or flight anxious attachment style that I tend to lose the concept and understanding of the fact that I am in control, even when it doesn't feel like I am. And there are so many things in life that we cannot control. And one of them is how people treat us, right? We sadly cannot control how people treat us, how they love us, how they hate us, how they treat us, if they like us. We cannot control that, right? So I'm not saying that we are in control of those types of feelings, but what I am saying is that we are in control of how we respond to that treatment. And not only are we able to respond to that treatment and choose how we react to it, but we also are able to decide if this is something that we're going to put up with. And you might be sitting there being like, Savannah, no duh. Obviously, I can end it at any time. Obviously, this doesn't apply to me, or obviously, this is so easy. It's easy until you're in it. It's easy to say. It is not easy to apply. And I want you to know that I understand that, because I think that so often when we're in these situations, again, hindsight is 2020. If your friend came to you and was telling you the things that you tell them, if you're going to go to your friend and be like, oh, he cheated, or, oh, he, treated me like shit, or whatever, all of those things that we tell our friends, if your friends come to you and they tell you those things, you're going to be like, drop him like that, drop him so quick. Don't even look back. Don't think about it. Don't second guess it. Just drop them. But again, it's easier to say than it is to apply. And so many times I feel like personally, I have tried, and this is an interesting, weird analogy, but I have tried to fit a circle in a square so many times in my relationships, because I wanted the person that I was dating to like me. I really didn't care at the end of the day. if I liked them, which is a problem, and we're going to get into that. But more so, it was about the validation that they were giving me. I would do anything I could to make sure that they liked me because I needed to feel that validation. So even if it was an obvious like situation where we did not fit, like it was perfect on paper, but once the emotions got involved, it just didn't fit. Again, fitting that circle into a square. The main reason for that was because I just felt at the time that I wanted that validation. And I'm saying this because there are so many times that I looked back when I think about my dating history, and there's so many times I wish I could go back and shake myself. And it honestly makes me really upset to think about that I put myself in a position so many times where I felt like I was not good enough. Because again, I want to go back and shake myself and say, you are in control. You are in control. And not only are you in control, but you are the prize. And you are choosing them just as much as they are choosing you. So stop auditioning. It's almost like I was auditioning for this role of a girlfriend, and it was with everyone that I was dating because I wanted, again, that validation of wanting to feel good enough for someone because I didn't feel good enough. I didn't have that security and that self-worth to feel like I was worthy of, a healthy relationship. And so I would go after people that were emotionally unavailable. I would go after people that I knew it wouldn't work because I was not happy within myself and I was seeking validation in all of the wrong places. And again, I wish I could just tell myself that you are the prize. Why are we putting these people on pedestals when clearly they are not making us feel good? Clearly they are not, providing any sort of peace or happiness in our life. And instead, I'm doing this because I was looking for some sort of stamp of approval by people who wouldn't care if I got hit by a bus tomorrow. Like truthfully, that's a sad reality, but that is what it was because I was not fully secure within myself. And what's crazy to think about is that I was not even taking into consideration during these times of how this person made me feel. I wasn't caring that they probably wouldn't care if I got hit by a bus tomorrow. I wasn't caring if we were compatible or if I even liked them. Like that thought it wasn't even like a second thought to me. It was more so of making sure that they liked me, making sure that I was chosen, making sure that I was validated because I couldn't give that own validation to myself because I didn't feel it. And the fact of the matter is, and the harsh big sister truth of this is that if I felt secure enough and if I loved myself enough, their validation would not have mattered. And I would have been able to spend a lot more time focusing on whether they were a good fit for me and not the other way around. Do we have the same values? Do we like the same things? Do we have similar hobbies? Do I like their family? Are they nice to me? Like those are the type of questions that I could have been asking myself. But instead, I was so focused on receiving their validation and I wasn't focused on the bigger picture of things and what actually mattered, which is how they made me feel and how they treated me. And because of this, because I wasted so much time doing this, had I not, I would have been able to go through these guys a lot quicker. I would have been able to weed out the bad ones a lot sooner. I would have saved myself a lot of heartache and a lot of heartbreak. And I would have not had to go through as many talking stages, as many situationships, because I would have not been chasing this validation that these people were not going to give me anyways. It wasn't like they were going to give it to me because they were so emotionally unavailable. I had a very specific type that I went after, and that was the people that did not want to be with me. It's true. But it's really important to ask yourself, no matter what stage you are in a relationship, how does this person make me feel? I want to put my own feelings aside of the rose-colored glasses and the pedestal that I am putting them on, because it's very easy to hype someone up in our own mind. Again, it's very easy to make it think like they walk on water. It's very easy to think that they are the best person on the planet because again, it's a psychological game. When someone is not giving you the reaction that you want, when someone is not giving you the response or the energy or the attention that you want, you start to overcompensate. And you start to overcompensate for them because you have to feel like, oh, like they're only giving me 20, so I'll go 80. I'll go 80, it's fine. I'll overcompensate for their 20, And I think it's really important to ask yourself, how did they make you feel? Do they make you happy? Do you feel prioritized by them? Do you feel special with them? Do they make you feel at peace? Or do you feel stressed? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel like you're burdening them? Do you feel great when you're together, but then the second you leave, you feel on edge again? Those are not good things. We do not want to feel like that. And what you have to remember is you either have to communicate those feelings or you have to call it a wrap, because you cannot spend your time living like that. That is no way to live. That is no way to feel. And you do not deserve to feel those feelings. And again, I think it's really important to remember that you have the power to do that. We do not have to wait for other people to make our life decisions for us. We do not have to wait for other people to figure out what the future of a relationship is going to look like. If you do not feel prioritized, if you do not feel important, if you do not like the way that you are being treated or the way that you are feeling, you have the power to close that chapter. And I highly, highly encourage you to do so for your own sanity and for your own self-worth. You do not deserve to be treated in any other way other than feeling peaceful, happiness, positivity. Whoever is coming to your life should be adding on to it. You should be at a stage in your life where you feel at peace in whatever way that makes you feel. And whoever is coming in should only add to that. You should not have someone coming into your life who is draining you. You should not have someone coming into your life who is giving you sleepless nights or where you're, emotional and crying all the time. I've been there so many times. And again, it makes me so sad because I wish I could go back and shake, 23, 24-year-old Savannah, 22, 23, 24, and really be like, wake up. Wake up, realize what's happening here. You are the prize. These men, these people that you are going after, these people that you are dating are not giving you what you need. And that is not a reflection of you. That was also a big thing that I really, really struggled with. I thought that I was lacking. I thought that I was not giving enough. I thought that I was not enough, but instead it was never a reflection of me, because again, I was going after people where it was never going to work anyways. I was going after people that were emotionally unavailable. These weren't people that were ready to date. These weren't people that wanted a relationship. These weren't people that, really liked me for me at the end of the day. So obviously it was never going to work. But again, that's not a reflection of me. That's a reflection of them. And again, I don't know what necessarily happens or what the psychology of it is, but sometimes that we forget the power that we have. And that tends to get scary after a while, because when we forget the power that we have, we just kind of run on autopilot and we allow a certain type of treatment. We allow people to make decisions for us. We allow people to kind of keep behaving a certain way without calling them out on it, because we forget that we are in control. And what we, again, have to remember, and I'm going to keep saying this, and I'm just going to keep emphasizing it, is that we get to make these decisions that are going to define the trajectory of our life. You have the power to say at any given point, and again, this isn't, I go back to the beginning where I was saying that this does not have to just do with relationships, but that's what we're focusing on today. You have at any given point the power to say, this is not serving me. I'm going to go and find something that does. This is not serving me. I do not feel happy. I do not feel at peace. I do not like the way that this person or this situation makes me feel. You have the power to say, I deserve better than this, and I'm going to go get that. And you do not have to waste 50 million tries or, second chances in order to get that. When someone shows you who they are, you need to believe them. And that's such a cliche and you hear it all the time, but it's so, so true. People's true colors come out. When you sit back and watch, and you just kind of watch how someone moves throughout their life, their true colors show. Listen to them. Listen to those true colors. Do not try and mix the colors together. Do not try to go colorblind in that moment. Listen to how someone moves. Watch how they move. Listen to how they talk. Their true colors will show. And that's what you need to believe. It's not this, made up persona in your mind or this person that you put on a pedestal. It's none of that. It's who they are, and you need to believe that. And so I do think that a lot of this also, I just want to point this out because I think that it comes over time. I think that this lesson and everything that we're talking about and making sure that you are in control and that you have power and that you are also choosing the person as much as they are choosing you. I do think that some of this comes with age, because I think that there was a time in my life where I was going after the emotionally unavailable because I loved the mental game of it all. And it was exhausting and it drove me crazy and sent me into a absolute spiral. But there was something exhilarating about it. I got a certain amount of adrenaline off of it. And I think that that just comes down to me being toxic. If we're being so for real, I think that it's really, really toxic. And I think that there probably is a deeper meaning underneath all of that I should probably unpack with a therapist, but we're not going to get into that today. But I do think that a lot of it comes with age because, again, there was a time where the mental game, the chase, the cat and mouse, it gave me a certain sense of validation because there would be a time where I felt like I, quote unquote, won. Being with them or getting to a certain stage, I felt like I completed a mission. I felt like I won, like level up, like whatever. And again, it is such an immature mindset and it is so, so, so incredibly toxic because I was putting validation in all of the wrong places. I was allowing someone who was quite literally giving me the bare minimum to determine how I felt about myself. I was allowing someone who was treating me so subparly to determine how I felt. And that is not healthy. That is not a healthy way to go about it. And that is my big sister advice to you is do not let someone treat you in a way that makes you feel less than. Do not let someone determine your self-worth. You are the only person that can determine that. And by the way, you are the person that sets the example for that. And that is kind of hard to hear too, but the treatment that we allow is the treatment that will continue. You teach people how to treat you. And so when you set boundaries and when you are firm and you have the self-respect to be like, you know what, this shit isn't going to fly with me, that is when people start listening. You're going to start attracting the people that are going to meet your standards and not the ones that are just going to be, subpar and very like below even bare minimum because you're not confrontational or you don't want to say anything or you're worried how they're going to take it. I remember there were so many times in my life where I didn't say anything out of fear that they were going to leave. And I wish that I could go back and tell myself to speak up, literally just speak up, because if they leave, good riddance. Thank God the trash took itself out. There has never been a time in my life where I have expressed my feelings to someone, expressed and properly communicated to someone how I was feeling and how they were making me feel in a healthy way. And that person, if they were an actual decent human being, ran away. All of the healthy relationships that I've had in my life, which are few and far between, but the ones that I have, when I have expressed myself, actually, I shouldn't even say all the healthy relationships. I would say really just the relationship that I'm in now. One of the biggest things that I feel so confident in is our communication because I've never felt so validated by anyone else, in a romantic setting before. I have really been shocked by how healthy communication could be. And that is because of my relationship with Hayden. There's been so many times in the past where I have express my feelings or communicated what has upset me. And it's always gaslit and it is, turned around on me and it's become my fault. And it's the whole thing. And what I've realized since getting into a relationship where the communication is so healthy is that, again, those people were so not right for me. And if someone is going to leave because I am communicating how I am feeling, I do not want them. That is not the type of person that I want. And again, that goes back to the fact that you are choosing these people. We get to choose who we get to be with. Bottom line, we get to choose who we spend our time with. We get to choose who we get to be with and who we want to be with. And so make sure it is someone who gives you that healthy communication to where when you do speak your mind, you're not gaslit or your words aren't twisted or you aren't made to look like, the bad guy or whatever. Don't let someone make you feel like that. Don't let someone treat you like that. Have those boundaries, have that self-respect, because at the end of the day, if someone is going to leave based off of communication, why do you want that? If you're going to express how something makes you feel and they leave or they start a fight or they throw a tantrum, why do we want that? We don't want that. You deserve so much better than that. You deserve someone who listens to you. You deserve someone who is actually open-minded and hearing what you have to say because they care about you and they care about your feelings and they don't want you to be upset. I can't even tell you the amount of times that I've expressed my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. Finally, I work up the courage to do it. And it is completely just, I turn into this monster and the worst person in the world because God forbid I have a human emotion. I just really encourage you to find someone who gives you that healthy source of communication because that is so, so important. And it's really going to pave a way for the trajectory of your relationship when you can communicate in a healthy way. So again, do not be afraid to have those conversations because at the end of the day, like I said, sometimes the trash takes itself out. And that is the greatest gift that someone can give you sometimes. There are so many times I look back and I'm like, thank God. He did me a favor. Thank goodness. Good riddance. All of the things, like, it just, it feels like such a big thing in the moment. It feels like such a life or death, fight or flight thing in that moment. And we work it up in our head. And oh my God, I can't even imagine, like, how is this going to go? How are they going to react? Is this going to be okay? Are they going to leave? At the end of the day, and when you look back, it's either going to be, that was the best, it's going to be the best decision either way, truthfully, because you're either going to have the trash take itself out, as I keep saying, or you're going to get to a resolution and they're going to understand where you're coming from and then you can go from there. But sitting in this autopilot mode will drive you insane. Sitting in a mode of, just kind of going with the flow and being the chill girl and being the cool girl and being the girl that, oh, I'll just keep it going and we'll just see where it goes and we'll see when he brings it. No, don't do that. 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 Trust me. Trust me. Don't do that. Just trust me on that. But again, I do think that a lot of that comes with age, because I can't even imagine right now with where I'm at and the mindset that I have. And I do think that, again, we talked about this last week, it's your frontal lobe developing. I can't even imagine being in a space where the game and the chase and all that toxicity would really excite me anymore. It's just, it sounds exhausting. It sounds tiring. I'm too old for that. And I don't have time for it at the end of the day. And also, if I used half of the mental energy that I was putting into those games and that toxicity, if I took half of that and put even half of it back into myself, I would have saved myself, again, like I said, a lot of heartbreak, because I would have finally been really able to see my self-worth and have that validation for myself that I was missing all along and searching for it in all of the wrong places. And really with this episode, I want to remind you, just, blanket statement. I want to remind you that you hold the power. You have the power to choose how you react to someone's treatment of you. Again, we can't choose how they treat us, but we can choose how we react to it. We can choose to walk away. We can choose to not engage. We can choose to have high standards. We can choose to put ourselves in a position that is going to lead us to positivity and success and a healthy relationship and a healthy love life. And that is what you deserve. You deserve to be valued. You deserve to feel worthy and loved and all of the good things. You do not deserve to have those sleepless nights and all of those anxious feelings and wondering, how someone is going to treat you, living in this, feeling of not being able to trust the person that you're with. You don't deserve any of that. And from what I'm seeing and hearing from a lot of you in the What Would Sav Do's is I feel like we need to be reminded of that, because I feel like we need to be reminded that it is okay to walk away when we are unhappy. We do not have to stay and figure it out, fight tooth and nail until the very last breath. We don't have to do that, because you know how exhausting it is to fight a one-sided relationship, to fight a relationship where it is just you fighting. It is exhausting. And by the way, plot twist, just surprise, you're never going to win that fight. You will never win that fight. And I think it's really important to remember that, because it's just important to get ahead of it before you go down that path. And I just want to remind you and have that big sister talk with you to put yourself on the pedestal. Don't put another person on the pedestal. Have high standards and do not let people treat you like shit. And if they do, have the power and the self-respect to walk away from them, because you do not need that. You do not deserve that. And if someone gives you that treatment, walk away from it. Because once you allow that treatment, that's all you're going to get. Like I said, we teach people how to treat us, and the behavior that we allow is the behavior that's going to continue. And sometimes you need to put a stop to it for your own sanity. And I know it's hard, and I know it's easier said than done, and I know it sucks. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, would they put up with this? If I started acting like this, would they stick around? Probably not. Probably not. And again, I think it's important to ask yourself, and this is going to sound funny, but I'm not even trying to be funny. You need to ask yourself if you really like this person. What do you like about them? Funny could be found anywhere. Hot could be found anywhere. But what is your chemistry like? Do your values align? Those are the things, the on paper checklist could be found anywhere, but it's the energy you feel when you're with them. And even more so, it's the energy that you feel when you're not with them, the effort that they put in. Do they prioritize you? Do they make you feel important? Do they make you feel special? Do they make you feel like you're one on a roster? Do they make you feel like they have options? Do they tell you that they have options? Do they make you feel like you have something to worry about? You need to ask yourself these questions, because I think that it's really important to decipher whether you really like them and you really love them, or if you just want them to love you and to like you. Again, so they could fulfill that validation that you are missing within yourself, that quite frankly, and again, just to jump to the ending, you are the only person that can give you that validation. You are the only person that can make you feel that self-worth and that self-love. The validation that we get from others is temporary, and it's a quick fix, and we get a pump of adrenaline and it feels great. And then a couple days later, where are we at? We're at zero again. We start at the bottom again. And then we keep going, and it's a cycle, and it's toxic, and it's not good for you. And it's not good for your sanity. It's not good for your mental. It's not good for any of that. I think it's really important to ask and really important to recognize when you are in these types of scenarios, what you're in it for. Because why do we want to be with someone who doesn't treat us right? Why do we want to be with someone who is playing games and being toxic? It's fun in the beginning, yeah, whatever. It's very high school. But at the end of the day, when you look at long term, is this the type of person that you want? This is the type of person you would want your daughter to date? This is the type of person you would want your daughter to marry? If your daughter came to you and said, this is what's happening, would you tell them to stay or would you tell them to leave? You would probably tell them to leave. Same with your friends. If your friends came to you and said this, you would tell them to leave because you see that value in them. But it's a lot harder to see it within ourselves. But you need to remind yourself that that value is there. You just need to uncover it a little bit. You need to have that validation for yourself, that self-worth and that self-love that you give everyone else, because it's so much easier to see, again, the worth and the value in everyone else, but it's harder to see it in ourselves. You need to uncover that. And then once you do, I think that it'll be a little bit easier to walk away from those situations, and it'll be a little bit easier to recognize what you're really in it for. Because at the end of the day, we get to choose them. You get to choose them. You get to choose to be with them, and you also get to choose when to walk away. So that is what I'm going to leave you with. But with that being said, you guys, that's today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Just little girl chat, chit chat, big sister chat. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. But with that being said, that's all for me today. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Again, if you're new here, my name's Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll be back next week with a brand new one for you guys, and I will see you there. Bye, guys.